Okay, I decided to make this video because of the limited stuff I can find over the interwebs. Or maybe I didn't look long enough, but I'm sort of impatient, and I decided to make this one about changing out the trunk switch inside my STI hatchback. There is a similar video on YouTube about changing one out in a Outback, I believe an older Outback, and this one's very similar. But anyways, I decided there's a couple things in this process I'd like to document so you guys don't go through the same thing, and I'm sort of in a little bit of a transition point in this process, and I found something that was pretty revealing, so I decided to share it and make sure it's easy for you guys. There's a couple things I think that could have been quicker, but that I didn't need to do. For instance, deal with this windshield washer motor. However, it is what it is. I don't think it was a big deal. It's only 3 bolts, and it's no big deal. And I'll go a little bit on that. But anyways, so step 1 was definitely getting out the trim. There's 1 piece here and 2 on the side, so it's this back piece right here, and there's 2 along each side. And that was pretty much straightforward. There were no hitting screws. As you can see, everything comes out pretty much straight. Just be careful and don't damage these clips. I was a little bit nervous. I couldn't even, I posted something on a quick post, but I didn't get much of a reply. And in case there's any, I know sometimes there's hidden screws and this and that, but no, this was pretty straightforward. It took quite of an effort to get these guys off on the side, but still, as you can see, there's no hidden screws. They just come straight off. So step 1 was definitely to take those things off. But let me take one back step, and why I'm doing this is it was the trunk switch. This hatchback is a great car, very practical. As you can see, I got kids with cross sticks in here. It's a sports car. I can bring my, drive my kids around and this and that. But anyways, the biggest part of this thing is, of course, the hatch. So a couple weeks ago, went to open the hatch, and no bueno. It wouldn't open, so it's pretty much useless. I had to bring everything through the back door. As you can see, the switch is very old. The rubber has been eaten away. So I thought that was I knew that was my culprit. I knew it was something to deal with the switch and the mechanism. Now the mechanism is again inside. Oh boy, that thing came off. The rubber grommet came off there, so I gotta somehow keep this thing up here. I don't want this wire on this windshield washer motor to go, so I should have zip tied that some better way. But anyways, this connector is a pain on this thing. I can't quite figure out. It has this little tang on the side. I shove a small screwdriver in there. Doesn't seem to want to go, so I'll just zip tie it up here temporarily to keep the strain off of this connector. I don't want that going off. But anyways, so here's the mechanism in here. Right, so I had to click the little triangle to the side to open there, so I knew this is sort of good, but how did I know it was the switch and I didn't have to replace the whole thing, because I got a little bit nervous about that. So what I did is step 1, take off the trim. Step 2, here's the wire for the trunk. I basically jumpered the harness. I jumpered the wire, this guy right here, and yes, that guy right there, and the trunk opened up, just like it does if it had a good switch. It's just a switch. Closed the switch, jumpered it, closed out the switch, and it worked. So I knew it was a switch, and I didn't have to buy the whole assembly. I bought the switch off of eBay. Here it is right now. So I didn't get to the part where I actually have to route this and install this, but I'll get to that. So that was good. So I started to dive a little bit more. So once I knew it was a switch, the car's been sitting in the garage for a couple, about a week or so. It's been driving around my other car, the Jeep. So started this just about an hour or so ago, and so what I had to do was take off these bolts, just like they did in the other video. So there's as you can see, there's a hole over here, and there's one here, a couple back here. You can see those little studs sticking out, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going through there. Now, again on that was the first thing I did. And these far outer ones that are more rusted, the one out here and the one over here, actually I do need to take them out. So you're going to need to take those out regardless. I thought you didn't need to, but I'll get to that. Take all those out. I don't believe I needed to take this windshield wiper motor out though, because as you can see, it fits up here. They did it in the other video. I can still access this one bolt even with the windshield wiper motor in, so I think I didn't really need to do that. But anyways, I got to tie this thing back up. Another problem I had with this windshield wiper motor was getting a windshield arm off of this. I did spray a little Croy on there. I had to give it a little persuasion, but here it is. It eventually came off. So it does come off. You just got to tap it a little bit if it's held on there, but it will come off. So let me retie this up. I'll get back to this process, and I'll show you where I'm at. Okie doke. So let's say you took all the 5 bolts off. You have all the trim off, so now you have access to this outer door. Now, I could not get this out. As you can see, this is held in a really good. Something's holding it. And what I didn't know, you know, I can basically move it just a little bit, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So, what I didn't know that there are fasteners under these lights. One and one under that one. And how I figured that out, I said I can kind of look. While I was prying, I can kind of see a little sliver of plastic going underneath this light. So, the good thing is, this is very easy. That I took that one bolt that's off in there, but look, there's 2 other little acorn bolts that go right here, and taking those off, voila, reveals this little plastic thing. So this is where I'm at right now. So if you didn't know that this was under here, I hope you don't start prying and bust this thing off, because you need to get these off, and then we can go on basically. So I'm going to unscrew this side and then finish with undoing that side. So, got those out. One of them gave me a hard time. One of them I actually had to, while I was threading out, it wasn't even doing anything. I actually had to pry this little screwdriver out there while trying to unthread it, and they're plastic Phillips, they're garbage. I cannot stand those. I cannot stand Phillips. But anyways, Phillips is the worst. Well, flat is worse, I guess, but Phillips, I cannot stand Phillips. So anyways, got them out. But anyways, once that's gone, easy as that. This is ready to go. I can service this switch. So let me get ready to be doing that. Alright, so it's out. Very easy. So here's the switch. So what you got to do is you're not going to be able to get it out, because this is going to be inside there, shoved in one of these holes. The new switch comes with one on there, so don't just rip it out and be a hack. Reach in there with your fingers. Thank goodness I have small fingers and I can reach under there and kind of squeeze it a little bit and push it out. I was able to do that. But you can, again, I wouldn't rip it out and be a hack. You can get your fingers in there and pull it out, but the switch comes off very easily. All you gotta do is press these 2 in, and look at that. Easy as that. And all I gotta do is put my new switch in there, route it, do everything the exact opposite way, and I should be in business. Well, the job is complete. I tightened up all the bolts in there. The rear lights have been installed. The trim pieces have been installed. The switch has been fed through, hooked up, checked out. The windshield wipers back on, tightened up, ready to roll, in the same position as it was last time. So everything is now good. Again, the job wasn't that bad. Taking your time, it's probably going to take you. You could probably, if you rush it, you can do it maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes. But I took my time. It definitely took over an hour, not quite 2 hours, but had some coffee and whatnot. Cleaned underneath here. Did a couple extra things like cleaning underneath there. while that section of car was exposed. So it wasn't really that bad of a job. But here's the old switch. I'm guessing this can happen to many other cars from this era. Over time, this rubber film from you touching it will degrade, and weather gets in there, moisture, and then the switch is no longer good. So this whole thing was about, I think I paid about $30 something dollars from eBay for the new switch. Not sure if that's a good or a bad deal, but oh well, $30 fix. I got a working trunk now. Everything is good. Back to having a practical hatchback car. So hopefully this was informative, and it's not that difficult of a job. One tool that was very, very useful that I picked up this year, actually, that I'm glad I picked it up for working on the Subaru, were these. There's an extension set from Harbor Freight, quarter-inch drive extension set with a wobbly feature on the end. Not sure what the length is of this one is off the bat, but I think there were 3 that came in this set, and these I've used a lot on a lot of my toys around here. These quarter-inch, hard-to-reach places, similar to inside this trunk, are crucial. The nice long length. I've had some quarter-inch extensions in the past, but they weren't long. These long ones they're cheap from Harbor Freight, and they're very excellent for these hard-to-reach places. I've used them, I even believe, for with some adapters for changing the spark plugs up in the front of this thing. So anyways, very useful tool right here. And hopefully this was informative. So if you have the switch, I wouldn't be too worried about changing it. It's not it's not that very difficult. It just takes a little patience, and it's not that hard. The spark plugs were definitely worse. So anyways, have fun.